The trip to Spain had to be organized secretly. The State Department had prohibited all travel to Spain, and each volunteer risked loss of citizenship. En route, the Americans were instructed to pretend they were tourists and students.
Oh, I know we went in there, our travels through France, we were archaeologists. I didn't know a stone or a lump of coal, but I'd find myself reenacting the role, getting off the train, say in Piping Gang someplace or Toulouse, immediately, for fear that somebody was there with a camera checking to see if we were, archaeologists and not. I'd pick up a piece of coal or a piece of something. Hey, take a look at this. Come over here, brother. It's a great piece of stone. And then shove it in my pocket as if I had a big special find. And by the time I got out of the area, I was loaded down with rocks and coal and everything else. But this is what we'd done.
France had closed its border with Spain and was arresting International Brigade volunteers trying to cross the frontier. The Americans hid in small border towns and at nightfall began to cross the Pyrenees on foot.
And none of us were prepared for such a long 5-hour grind straight up the mountain. Up and up and up and up. And men were sliding and falling back because it's very steep.
You climb one mountain, you get up, you figure this is it, and there standing in front of you would be another big mountain, right? Down you go, up again, and another mountain.
And we had to get to the Spanish side before daybreak. And just about daybreak, we stopped.
And he says, España, pointing to that house. And we all started to run to make the last few yards across that fence. Now, he says, this is Spain.
We just stood there, I'm in Spain, I'm in Spain. This is Spain, I'm in Spain. Just a wonderful feeling.
And then there was a Welsh guy with us in our group, with a couple of Englishmen in the group. And he said, it's time to sing. And he began to sing the International.
Arise, ye prisoners of starvation, arise, ye wretched of the earth, for justice unto condemnation, a better world in birth. No more traditions shall bind us, a rising slave no more enthroned. The earth shall rise on new foundations, we have been known, we shall belong.
The International Volunteers met at a training camp and were organized into the different international brigades, each named after a national hero.
We'd be like in sort of a quadrangle. The guy in the middle was invariably a Frenchman, and he'd go on in French. And then somebody would go on in German, and then in Italian, and then in Romanian, and then in some Slavic language, for the Poles, Polish or Czechoslovakian, or what the hell ever, before we get to English and American, By that time, who knows what the guy said originally. But anyhow, here we were, and I realized then, men were coming from all over the world to do the same thing that I was doing. And it was a marvelous experience. It was an international thing. I mean, here I was coming from Brooklyn, and I didn't know any of these languages, and I had never seen these kinds of people, and there they were. Most of them were older than the American groups. They were more experienced. They were much more disciplined. They were much more serious about it. They sang louder. They sang more stirringly than we did. And, they had already experienced fascism in their countries.
Most of the training we got was marching up and back in the hot sun, if I remember. Yeah, a lot of walking up and back in the hot sun. And then they gave us a couple of pieces of wood and we attacked across fields. Most of the training, I think, was speeches. A lot of speeches. Every day there were long speeches. So there was a lot of speeches and a lot of marching in the sun and not much eating. At the beginning, the Lincoln Brigade was kind of considered chicken shit kids from America complaining all the time. And it took a lot of fighting to win the respect of the other guys. It did happen. It did happen. But we were totally unprepared, not only militarily, we were unprepared gastronomically and every which way. I think the Lincolns were the least prepared of all. And beside which, a bunch of kids. Kids. We were kids. Our commanders were 22 years old. Platoons were being led by 19-year-olds. We had guys doing important jobs, 18 years old. I mean, just kids. You think about it. I'm surprised any of us made it.
Most of these volunteers had never held a gun before, yet they fought against highly trained soldiers from the Spanish Army, the Italian Army, and the German Army. The Lincolns fought in every major battle. The first was at Jarama, defending Madrid. 470 Americans saw battle for the first time. On the worst day, 127 died, and another 200 were wounded.
There's a valley in Spain called Jarama. It's a place that we all know too well. For 'twas there that we gave up our manhood, and most of our brave comrades fell.